Chris Metzen back at Blizzard and BlizzCon talked about how we're going to learn about why these Titan facilities exist. Why, I believe he said, why they are all slapped into the side of Azeroth. The Titans are playing the long game. They have been for a long time, and these facilities are all part of it. Huge new Titan systems revealed. Bal Modan is what? Oh, let's see what this is all about. It looks like Doran has figured out a little bit of about why these Titan facilities exist and what their true purpose is. Let's see what the Doran, the Teller of Truths, has to say.
So the newest weekly quest just revealed a brand new globe model with 7 places pinpointed on the map. Now, we know Titan machinery is all over Azeroth, but we just learned that there is yet another hidden Titan system on Azeroth, the so-called Manifold. It was built by the Keepers to learn more about the World Soul, but very likely there is another hidden purpose. Interesting enough, it isn't connected to all the Titan facilities, but just select few, from Ulduar to likely Bal Modan in the Barrens, the most mysterious Titan facility by far on Azeroth. Furthermore, people have also connected one of the Manifold facilities to be Eldre'Thalas, the ancient highborn city, now known as Dire Maul.
I don't know if they would do this because it wouldn't be long enough. It wouldn't be a long enough thing, but I've talked about this before, going back to Dire Maul and all this, but like having it actually be the city, because this city used to look amazing, and I've seen renderings, I've shown you guys them before, of like somebody who rebuilt the city and how it used to look in all of its glory. Man, it was amazing. And we are getting an elf-based expansion in the Midnight expansion, right? We're getting all the uniting of the elves and all that shit going down. So could we get some kind of like time-warped version of this city where we actually get to see it in game? That would be amazing. I would love to see that. It would take a lot of work, and that's why I'm not sure if they would actually do it as a dev team, but damn, it would be cool.
Now known as Dire Maul, the most advanced arcane users at the time of the Night Elven Empire built this place, and it's likely they built it over a Titan facility, hence the crazy arcane potency. So what even is the Manifold? What are these new Titan facilities, and what is their purpose? Did you know you can play the War Within directly on your phone with Awesome? This video.
That's right. Sorry, Awesome's a sponsor. Yeah, that's great.
Sponsor. You can control.
Didn't Dire Maul? Yes, it is part of the anniversary event, right? Dire Maul is one of those classic time-walking dungeons we're getting in the anniversary event. So hey, maybe it's a hint. Maybe I didn't even think about that.
Real deal is the game version with custom.
Good point, Naz.
Various games such as WoW with great FPS and sound. Make sure to use my code DORON to get 7 days completely free, so you can try it out only for the first 200 people. They also got a smart plug to turn off your PC at any time, as well as hot sales with up to 40% off on pro and game versions. Check out Awesome.
Yay.
So by this point, you might have seen the weekly archive quest. The first one was called First Disc. It was the first time in the game that Azeroth was called the Prime World Soul. It gave us insight into what the Titans really are doing with the World Soul, and this is so far the most concrete hint in the game that Azeroth is not in fact a nascent Titan. However, the second weekly quest...
It's the hint that she's not a nascent Titan, or nascent as he said, I don't know which way you say it, but it also is confirmation that she is not your average World Soul, right? She's not your daddy's World Soul. She's much more than that. There's something about her that makes her special. Basically, the Titans, especially... oh, God, what's his name? The main Titan. Oh, man, I'm drawing a blank right now. Aman'Thul, that's his name. Basically, Aman'Thul has been searching for this special World Soul, and he's found it in Azeroth, but the Void has been searching for this special World Soul as well. So what makes Azeroth special? We don't know yet. But we do know that it has brought all these world forces together to try to get her soul.
Called Archives Seeking History seems to be just as interesting, and we may actually be onto something here. So upon completion, we hear a conversation of one of the Titan Keepers, and he talks about most of the lore we already kind of know from the Chronicle, how the Pantheon arrived to Azeroth, how the Titans sent the Keepers to lead the Titanforge forces into battle against the Old Gods. They rooted out the Old Gods, imprisoned them in the deep places of the world, and then led by Aman'Thul, the Titans set towards studying what the World Soul of Azeroth is. Now, this bit here is completely new lore, and it's almost certainly a setup for the entire World Soul saga.
Oh, for sure.
To aid the Titans, the Keepers were tasked to create a so-called system known as the Manifold, which was a vast world-spanning complex of machines, forges, and installations. As the Keepers were told, the purpose was apparently to examine the World Soul of Azeroth in depth. After this convo, Brinty and Dagon are talking about what could the Titans possibly study, and they say they cannot understand the intricacies of the Titan reasons. However, Brinty talks about how she knows about this complex, very likely. Now, first of all, I just want to say that almost certainly the Titans were keeping something hidden from the Keepers. It wasn't really just about learning more about the World Soul for curiosity reasons. Almost certainly it's about having some sort of a hidden purpose, because we know they did in fact build a ton of machinery. Some were supposed to create more Titan Forge, some were supposed to essentially destroy the entire planet, and some we probably don't
the Forge of Reorigination, which would basically wipe the surface of Azeroth completely clean. That's something the Titans built too. One quick thing about Amenthul, everyone's focused on who the last Titan is. I'm very interested as well to know who was the first Titan, because I actually think it was Amenthul, and he was the one who kind of, got his other siblings to awaken or whatever it was. But where the hell did he come from? He's so different from the rest. He can control time and stuff. He's got some interesting powers. He's an interesting guy. And I think we're going to learn a lot about him as we approach that final part of the World Soul Saga. We'll have to see if that lore actually pans out.
Destroy the entire planet, and some we probably don't even know what they were really about. However, this isn't the reason I'm making this video. There is in fact the biggest hint yet, and it isn't from the conversations or the new dialogue. It's actually from the model they had added to the game that you could very easily miss. So while the Keeper Arcadus is talking about what has been going on, they added a what appears to be an old globe model of Azeroth that could potentially even be as old as that of the Lich King, but they actually tied a bunch of white dots
not notice
of these facilities on the map. Now, interesting enough, in the community, people have actually managed to extrapolate the actual texture from the quest and compare it to the current map of the world, and it's incredibly interesting what has been discovered. So, a vast complex of Titan machinery is definitely not new lore. I mean, you all know this. We had seen this everywhere. We have been to the Forge of Originations, Ulduar, old Titan machinery in the Dragon Isles, Titan machinery in Pandaria. Pretty much everyone knows there is a ton of Titan architecture and hidden mechanisms all over the planet, but this specific combination of 7 is really interesting. Now, it wouldn't be too interesting if they just dotted out all the known facilities we had previously seen, but there's about 7 laid out that seem to be a part of this so-called manifold. Remember the old lore. The Titan facilities usually have multiple purposes. The one known to most and a hidden one. For example, Ulduar is like the main seat of the Keepers, the main Titan facility, but it is also the prison of Yogg-Saron. The Forge of Origination in Oldham was supposed to regulate the World Soul and the Earth, but it is also one giant destruction machinery. So it's very likely that these 7 facilities, apart from the so-called manifold, have a hidden purpose we're yet to discover, and
it's interesting that there's so many in Northrend. That's Northrend, right? Yeah. We are going back to Northrend in the next expansion, so I'm sure this stuff is going to be talked about too. Because basically we're getting a revamp of the entirety of the upper part of the Eastern Kingdoms. So that's going to be, your Silvermoon and everything else. But we do know that, it's not, maybe it's the next one, maybe it's the final Titan or the last Titan that we're going back, but we are going back to Northrend in one of the next 2 expansions. I forgot which one they said. And there's 3 freaking Titan facilities on that continent. So that's I'm sure that's going to play a role going forward.
A hidden purpose we're yet to discover, and it is going to be incredibly interesting. So let's dig right into the map and let's examine what exactly they're hinting at here. So Northrend obviously has Ulduar, which is at the top. It is at the seat of the Titan Keepers. It is where most of the work is done. Even the original Prime Designate Odin used to be here, but he eventually rebelled and took his portion of Ulduar into the air. So this dot is the most obvious one. The second one seems to be the Virmer's Temple, which you may know as the seat of the Dragon Aspects, but what a lot of people don't know is that this is actually a Titan structure. The Titan structure built for the Dragon Aspects as their newly raised servants. However, interesting enough,
I knew that the Titans built it for the Dragon Aspects, but I didn't know does it have another purpose? Is that what he's about to say?
Giant tower, it might have some hidden purpose we are soon to discover.
Okay,
now,
we
the
don't
third
know
dot
yet.
is a bit harder to figure out, but it is very likely the Wintergrass Fortress, which is essentially built to protect the Vault of Archivon, containing...
Imagine they bring back Wintergrass, man. Oh, I loved Wintergrass so much. That was such a fun thing to do. And I remember me and my friend, you get the Vault of Archivon or whatever that you can go in. Whoever wins it, whichever faction wins. My friend and I both ninja looted the Mammoth Mount to each other. Each took a turn. One time I ran the raid with ninja. Yeah, don't tell anybody, but we did do that. And damn, this thing was so much fun. I loved doing Wintergrasp. And I'm not even a
of
PvPer.
untold power and protected by ancient giants. By the way, we recently learned in exploring Azeroth Northrend that one of the Titan giant protectors has somehow gone missing and no one has seen him ever since. Overall though, Northrend isn't that big of a deal. On the other side we got the Eastern Kingdoms, and almost certainly this is Uldaman, and I also don't think this is that big of a deal. I just want to state that I think this manifold they're building up is a setup for the World Soul Saga. Did you notice they only dotted the 3 continents that are going to be relevant for each expansion of the saga? I think that's a setup for us to explore the manifold ultimately when we go to Northrend in the last Titan. Like, this is where
that's what I was saying. Yeah, so he's confirmed it's in the last Titan. That's what I was saying, is we're going to go back to Northrend, and those facilities are probably going to be like the finale of what we're figuring out here.
Machinery comes in. However, let's now go to Kalimdor, and here is where it gets really good and interesting. So let's get the easiest one out of the way. Obviously, Uldum and Forge of Origination.
Yeah.
We've seen this place, we've been here, we know that it has 2 purposes. One was regulating the rhythms and fortifying the world soul. The other was eradicating
obliterating
everything.
Life
If the old god corruption got bad enough. However, based on this new info, there might be a 3rd purpose that we are soon going to discover. Now, the other 2 get a little bit tricky to pinpoint. One is very likely around the Barrens, and I feel like this is almost certainly Baal Modan, which has been one of the biggest mysteries of World of Warcraft since Classic. It's obviously a Titan facility that the dwarves have been digging out, and some have even gone insane doing so, but we have never figured out what exactly this place really is and why the dwarves are digging here. It obviously fell into disrepair, but I feel like this place is actually going to have some sort of a purpose we are going to discover soon, and it's going to be incredibly interesting how it ties to the rest of the places of the manifold. The last one, though, in my opinion, is the most interesting one. Just to say, the map is
I wonder if they're going to take, like, the delves and everything else and use them to explore the Titan facilities. Like, I think delves have been a big success, actually. They're going to continue on as expansions continue on. I bet you for the next expansion, Midnight, or maybe even the last Titan, that these Titan facilities will become delves. That totally makes sense. I can imagine Bran helping us go through these Titan facilities, and that's how we kind of learn about them as we go through the delves, for sure. And I think that'd be a very cool thematic way to continue delves as well.
The last one, though, in my opinion, is the most interesting one. Just to say, the map is very lackluster, it's very minimalistic, it's hard to pinpoint exactly, especially as the Sundering happens, so places kind of move, but most have figured out that this is actually Darmol, and it is in fact a place known as Eldre'Thalas. Now, you might know Darmol as a ruin and this ancient forgotten place.
Eldre'Thalas. This is the city I'm talking. Man, imagine seeing it in all its glory. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're getting it in the anniversary event. I actually like that. Now that we've talked about it a little bit, this is like all making more sense. Thematically, it makes sense why they gave it back to us, because it's going to become very relevant again. But man, I would love to see it in all of its glory, like its former glory. They had libraries of books like stacked up at the ceiling. You guys know that? I think it's in the second wing of Dire Maul that you see part of it or the remnants of it. Man, there's so many cool places to see in this city if we could go back in time and actually see what it looked like.
Know that Eldre'Thalas was one of the main cities of the Night Elven Empire when it was at its peak, led by the Queen Ashara, who is also going to be returning soon. It was the home to powerful arcanists, and when the Sundering happened, it just fell into ruin, and to this day, it is just known as Dire Maul. Now check this out.
Oh man, Eldre'Thalas, come on. Bring it back, Blizz. Bring it back. Oh god, I would love it.
As Dire Maul. Now check this out. Do you know what is the magic of the Titans and the Beings of Order? Arcane. Why would the most powerful and advanced arcane users of the world at the time build a city right over this place? It's very likely that this was a Titan facility that had something to do with arcane magic. Remember, Ashara built the center of her civilization around the Well of Eternity. This is where Yasharaz was pulled down from. It is the wound of the world's soul. Now, we know that Azeroth is not actually arcane but elemental in nature, and we know the Titans mended this wound, so it's very likely they are the ones that actually pumped it up with arcane magic. Now, what exactly could be going on with Eldre'Thalas, and what is the Titan facility hidden below?
They're hinting at something, man.
Well, check this out. The Exploring Azeroth book about Kalimdor literally tells us that unknown powers are at work here, and that it is much more than just a forgotten highborn city, so it's highly likely that this was built on top of the ancient Titan facility as a part of the original manifold, a mechanism the Keepers built for the Titans themselves to do something with the world.
Look, I mean, Doran goes off sometimes, but damn, this is actually really good. I think he's really onto something here with the Dire Maul Eldre'Thalas stuff. and then the elf, expansion coming out, and we know Azara's coming back. Like, this is all making too much sense to not be real. I really think we're gonna now, whether or not they actually fully render Eldre'Thalas in its former glory and we get to see what it looked like. I don't know if that'll happen, but certainly I feel like Dire Maul, the remnants of Eldre'Thalas, is gonna be relevant.
World Soul. It's very likely that this place might
Which
be
makes me
some
excited,
arcane
honestly.
magic or something to do with the prime World Soul of Azeroth. But now that we figured out, or likely figured out, what these 7 places could be, what exactly even is the Manifold? And that in itself is a great question. So the Manifold itself, like the word, means like a set of pipes, usually branching into one. This makes sense. We got these 7 facilities spread out. They're all branching into the World Soul of Azeroth, or it's all coming from the World Soul of Azeroth. I somehow feel like this manifold may be related to the prison mechanism or something of the sort, and it's not just curiosity reasons that the Titans ordered all this complex machinery to be built. Even more interestingly, as we know most of these facilities and they have 1 or 2 hidden purposes already, they might have an entirely hidden this reason even from the Titan Keepers themselves, which could be that vast Titan conspiracy that they talked about on BlizzCon. Additionally, just how they had a last resort mechanism to completely blow up the planet with Algalon the Observer, this manifold might be a mechanism they're going to activate when they get back to Azeroth, like a failsafe. They left because they know they will be returning soon, and they're confirmed to return in The Last Titan. Overall though, while seemingly just a tiny quest, these archives seem to be really revealing some crazy lore. Thank you for watching. Check out my video on the new artwork showing a door into the Crystal Baladar by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Perron and Samic mythology by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Shit. The Teller of Truths. Doran really cooked on this one. Damn. Dire Maul coming back in the anniversary event, which he didn't even mention, but I do think makes it even more relevant. Then we got the dot sitting there on Dire Maul. Eldre'Thalas used to be a city of extreme arcane power. And then we also got the fact that we confirmed we are getting an elf-based expansion in Midnight. Could we see Eldre'Thalas? Could we actually find out why it was so powerful? Why that spot on Azeroth had so much arcane power in it? Oh man, so many good possibilities that could come out of this. I'm excited. Great video from Doran.